Recently, I outlined our boldest step yet to demand that phone companies implement a new caller ID authentication framework called Stir Shaken. Essentially, this would give a digital fingerprint to every single phone call, so you would know when you got the call whether or not the call was in fact legitimate.
Now, most of them originate in India, and older Americans are losing millions of dollars a year.
So how are scammers actually making these illegal calls?
You buy a list of leads, you plug it into this computer, you spin up a call center. The risk of getting caught is almost zero, and the reward is millions and millions of dollars every single year.
While the computer generates a random number to call, it's also generating a false number to show up on your caller ID, disguising its identity, a process called spoofing. And with neighbor spoofing, the number on your caller ID is meant to look almost identical to yours to increase the likelihood that you pick up.
The good news is some of these robocalls are harmless, but the bad news is oftentimes the robocalls are trying to scam you. The Grand Junction Police Department reminds us of the warning signs to look out for.
Make sure that you know the number that you're answering. Try not to answer any numbers from blocked or unsolicited phone numbers.
One of the companies involved in this bust, tollfreedeals.com, made 720 million calls in 23 days.
It might be tempting to give the person on the other end of the line a piece of your mind, but simply put, they don't care, and they're not going to take you off their list. Their goal is to make money off of you, not to keep you happy.
Robocalls are certainly annoying. I wish they would go away. But weren't they going to mandate something to actually make them go away? Whatever happened to that?
They passed laws, but then there are always
exceptions.
exceptions.
Apple was going to try to somehow block them.
There are many exceptions to the rules, and people find ways around it. Obviously, they trace back to your phone. So whenever I see my own area code and my own neighborhood code coming up, I know it's a spam call.
These seemingly endless automated phone calls disrupt our daily lives. They constitute a serious form of harassment and expose millions of Americans to dangerous financial scams. That's why I introduced a bipartisan bill alongside my colleagues, Representative Lacey Clay and Dan Bishop, called the Foreign Robocall Elimination Act. Our bill takes on robocalls that originate overseas by directing the FCC to convene an interagency task force to develop effective measures to combat robocalls coming from abroad. No matter which side of the aisle we find ourselves on, we should all be able to agree it's time for these illegal robocalls to be stopped once and for all.
The FCC is proposing to mandate this framework be adopted within 18 months. That 18-month framework would give the companies enough time to put all the technological tools in place to be able to protect consumers.